Hi there.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, great, thanks. Good, good, good. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of, in a way, just sort of give a progress report. I been having quite intense couple of weeks. There's a sort of situation here of I'm the bad guy, I'm the person who my husband being ill takes everything out of. And then my friend, who's a carer, is, of course, the most wonderful person in the world. And it's a theme that has run through my marriage, and it's really sort of come again. So I've been working in a way with sort of, well, one, I'm not being it's all expectations, of not being like appreciated and devalued, and then in a way, to a certain degree, betrayed. But the other day, gently going through each little one, and the feelings accompanied. But the other day, I was on the Zoom call with Vince, and actually, I see Ramiz is here. He's not showing, but he was talking, and I think he said, or was it Vince who said, I can't remember, but it was like the complete helplessness that one feels. And it was really strange because this huge energetic sort of wave came in, and it was like, yes, this is true. This is the truth. We are, or not we, I am this self thing that thinks it wants control is completely helpless. And it was the most beautiful shift, beautiful, and it lasted, quite well. It's still there. But it was so interesting because I hadn't really been working with from that angle, but then I started to look at that angle and seeing how, everything and all the expectations of trying to change everything. And it's just like it's the futility of it and this helplessness, which is the true state. And there was such a strong, wasn't really a body, yes, because it was much more of an energetic. I don't know where it's even, one of those ones where you don't know where they come from. It was affirmation. And so they're still working, but on through all this, but it seems like it's working like from underneath all those other things that were going on. It's like they're not so important. It's like the basic sensations, trying to get into the basic sensations of the refusal of the helplessness while knowing that helplessness is it. So I don't know. I wanted to share that and see if you had any comments.
Yeah.
You first.
No.
You first.
No. I'm just
You have nothing to say?
no. Well, I mean,
That-
well,
Go on.
no. You first.
Mine is more like an afterthought. So you first.
No. To begin with, yes, I I agree with this kind of um the sort of beautiful surrender that you're talking about, where you have this recognition that um the fight that has been going on for so long to try to control things and to make things the way that you want it to be and to reinforce that sense of self is just this kind of futile dance that's been going on. And it sounds like in that moment you had that kind of recognition that like, oh, I can just set that down, and that there's kind of that flood that comes up from that. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it was a little bit sort of, yeah, it was exactly, but there was no realization mentally. It was just this huge resonance with that word, which I wouldn't have, I wasn't even experimenting with that word, but it was just like such a powerful yes truth to it, just in the middle of a conversation
Uh,
I was
It's
listening to, and
it's an
so it
interesting
really took
point.
me by surprise, but there was clearly a resonance in some part of my being that that yeah.
What's interesting is that there's often kind of a negative connotation to the word helplessness.
Mm.
And so I was curious, what does helplessness mean to you when you hear that word?
Yeah, it's a curious, it's a funny word in a way, because if it had been powerlessness, I would have, but that word didn't come up. And I wasn't looking for anything, and I wasn't looking. In a way, I would say it's futile to think that anything could be different. A bit like that, you know. It's just like when the separate self, the mechanism that's still sort of going is complaining, or it's looking outward to have things to be different.
Mhm.
And so, but basically it's futile. And so there's a helplessness to it, but I'm not sure how, I'm not using the word well. Maybe because it's a funny word, because we're always I'm not looking for some greater force to come and help me. And I'm not looking for anybody to come and help me. And also the other funny thing is my friend said, well, you know, I value honesty of sharing feelings. You know, she said, our friendship's going to suffer because you don't share your feelings. And it's like, I just looked and I thought, well, you know, there isn't anything, because everything changes so fast, and that's not something. Even this is a feeling, is just basically is sensations to be whatever's pointing in the feeling, verbal feeling, is pointing to be sensations to be held here. So it's not to be shared with anyone. I mean, there's no point, you know. So I was really curious. I was like, I don't know, I haven't got anything to say about that, you know. And I said to things, this is a difficult situation. Things, I don't have to be happy. Not that I'm not looking for anything other than what is, which is, you know, sometimes it's a bit rocky and other times it's actually fine. So, but now I've strayed away from helplessness. But it was this, yeah, it's there.
What I was going to say is it's interesting because of that sort of negative connotation to it. It often has almost it's almost like a sibling of hopelessness. Like there's almost like the situation is beyond help, and it still implies that there's something that
To be
is,
done.
yeah, that is uncomfortable or needs to change. It's just like I kind of give up because it's just beyond fixing. You know, it's an irreparable situation. So I'm just curious if there is any of that sort of hint behind it. I mean, do you have the same sort of thing with the idea uh, of surrender, like a positive surrender, not like a, because it's like the difference between surrender and resignation. It kind
Mhm.
of has that sort of a flavor difference.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say it's quite similar, but I realize that that there are degrees of acceptance, and I've been sort of sliding between actually noticing a dull, you know, still resistance, you know, to the situation, and thinking things should be different, but you know, working through all that. But it's interesting because I don't really, yes, helplessness, I can't fit in. It is beyond help, because I'm not looking for anybody to fix
Mm.
here, this.
It's yeah, I have so many things to say.
Yeah.
No, it's the part that is really difficult when we speak with people, outside of this community, where there are expectations of struggles and suffering with feelings. And a lot of us out there bond with other people with this complaining about the suffering of the feelings that we have. Not that we necessarily want a solution, but it's just the exchange of the suffering and the complaining, blaming, and shaming and all of that with the feelings that we have. So when we end up in a position like you are now, where from the outside you should be suffering with the role you have with your husband, he's super frustrated, he's taking everything out on you, and you're just like, I understand that. Yeah, but now you're bypassing. You should, feel into it. It must be so difficult for you. Well, it's not, because there's not an alternative. It's not even bypassing in the way that, because what you're saying is that there's not an alternative to what is happening. The perceived helplessness is just knowing that there's nothing that can be helped in this situation that we are in this moment right now. There's not an alternative, which means there's nothing that can be helped or be minimized or done easy or anything, because there's nothing wrong with this moment right now. But when we truly realize that, all conversation about with the outside world is dissolving, and we experience, like you say, with your friend that goes like, well, now we can't talk, you're never sharing your feelings, but it's only because you haven't got the suffering about the feelings anymore. The feelings arise, but it's not an issue. You're not attached to the feeling. You're not creating a story about the feeling. You have no need for the feeling to be any different than it is, and whatever arises, you stay with that, and that's it. This is what is alive right now, and period. There's nothing more to talk about. I was part of a Buddhist community for a while, and one of the things that was difficult when I spoke with order members in the community, it was that things that they perceived should be difficult for me, I didn't perceive as difficult, because I wasn't identifying with the issue. So it wasn't difficult, and they felt that I was bypassing, that I was not feeling into it, and I was not suffering enough with the magnitude of the issue that I was in. I should be suffering more, so I must be bypassing. Where it was just like, no, I'm just not suffering. It is as it is. There's not really anything I can do about it. Me trying to change what can't be changed. It's not the resignation. It's the complete and utterly acknowledgement of what is.
Yeah.
And I think the more there is the sort of lack of feeling of that separate individual who is at the whims of, because, even in surrender and resignation and helplessness, that all has a sense of I that's in there, that there is something which is helpless or who has to surrender or resign. And either
And
way,
there's an
there's something.
alternative to it.
Yeah, there is. And either way, there's something which is going to be swept up in the flow of it. Either there's resignation and now I get to just go along with the stream, or there's or surrender and I go along with the stream, or resignation and I go along with the stream that goes down the rapids, and I'm just going to be battered away by it. And helplessness, that there's just, well, it's the way it is, but I'm still going to be experiencing life just without a helping hand coming down. So I think all of that, as you said, the suffering comes when there's that idea of that separation, or that any sort of hint of that separation there.
Yeah, but also with a hook into an identification of as someone suffering.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's that separation from something that's not part of the process of life.
Yeah.
It's like there's a whole web of stuff going on, but I see myself as this one sort of fixed
Entity.
member that is being battered around by it, as opposed to just being part of this flow of experience.
Yeah, it's very much like, you know, like the delusion that we have that I am here as a solid,
Yeah.
you know, a solid form,
Boop, boop.
and then there's not solid form here,
Yeah.
and there's a difference between the solid form and the non-solid form.
Yeah.
Really becoming aware that there's absolutely no difference. There's no difference. It's the same. It's just the density of the field. But if this solid form is here or not here, the amount of atoms, argon, is the same.
Yeah.
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 The last thing that I just want to say, you know, as a bracket, it's the part about it's a part about just being really aware that you're not in an abusive relationship, and that you are being treated in a way where you are maintaining your traumas.
No, I think it's not it's not very pleasant to be told, but I'm not maintaining. I'm being given a huge chance to offer to see how in the past I didn't manage things. It's and I you know, I'm very sort of attuned into not bypassing. So I'll take the whole lot, and and of course I write, and then I sense, and I write and I sense, and just really look at everything clearly. So, and if I am bypassing something, it'll come back and smack me in the face.
It does, yes.
Won't it? So like the having a honeymoon period for a while of sort of being in calm acceptance, and then something feeling, oh yeah, and then a whole load more stuff came up to have to work with, and then seeing, oh no, I'm really not, I'm actually resisting. There was a huge strain going on, even if it was subtly hidden, and resistance against my resistance, I guess, and just, but then this beautiful moment, and which shifted everything.
Yeah.
Perspective
Good.
wise.
Good. Just wanted to make sure that it was in there. Also for other people listening in.
Yeah.
And if anybody, are in doubt if the relationship is abusive in any way, then in the second fetter, the lesson that is called the ego, the authentic, and the gap, it's very clearly stating the two different types of selfing that we have on each side of the gap. And if we are in either one, it's usually trauma talking.
Yeah.
It's also useful. It's useful partly to work with yourself, but also to see it when you start to work with the higher fetters, to see, recognize other people.
Yeah, well, it did come to a head because I it just went a bit too far on the weekend, I think it was, and then my husband, who has very limited ability with his limbs, he like sweeping the table clean, that he can do that like that, and it was only water, but I just filled it up, it went everywhere, and I reacted, I lost my temper. I said, okay, if you're going to be like that, I'm going to go downstairs and I'll come back in an hour. Because I'm just not having this behavior. And then he goes and calls the friend who's also the helper. So, saying save me, save.
Which is a good thing. No, which is a good thing. You need to be in that instance, you need to be mindful and see if he is, playing you.
Yeah.
Because
it is a play, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, but if it's a play, if it's a one-man play, then you're not losing your temper by saying, I'm not having that, I'm the one that has to wipe it up.
Yeah.
I'm really happy you called her because I'm not wiping it up.
Yeah.
You can't do that when I'm here.
Yeah.
It's completely fine to have clear boundaries in which behavior. And I understand his frustration and I understand all of that.
Yeah.
Get him a therapist so he got something to someone to talk with. He shouldn't take it out on you. He's not allowed to take it out on you.
Yeah, but you know,
No,
yeah,
that is trauma talking, sweetheart. No, for you to believe that it's okay for anybody to treat you in a way that you would not treat anyone, that is trauma talking.
I know it's not right, but it's
Would you treat anybody like that?
no.
Then it's not
So
okay.
therefore, and of
Then,
course, I'm looking
it's
at
not okay.
myself
Rowena,
saying, do I
Rowena,
treat
if
myself like that? No, well, maybe I did in the past, yeah, for sure, but not now, no.
you need to be careful about not bypassing. You need
Yeah,
to be really, really aware of clear boundaries.
yeah,
If
yeah,
other people are treating you in a way that you will not treat them, then it's a very clear body no. It's a very, very clear, I'm not having this. And that is not losing your temper. That is saying no. And
yeah,
no is a completely valid response to anything. You are completely right to say yes, and you're completely right to say no. Whenever it doesn't feel right, you are supposed to take care of you and protect you. But if you have trauma that has taught you that that is not okay, that Rowena needs to be the kind one, the sweet one, the good girl that wipes everything up with a smile. So she's starting to do spiritual work so she can bypass and not look into the trauma. Be very, very aware of that.
yeah, thank
Because
you.
because because what we're doing, and also when I'm talking about the bubble of reality, it's very, very easily and inviting to bypassing, where you are maintaining a trauma, and that is not the point of it.
And I think I definitely think I was. And it was like, and I thank you for your also, you know, for the reminder, because I do think I was, and I think somehow that expression and the coming down, and then, you know, then the game of calling somebody else
But
because
it's
I've
great.
been a
It's
monster.
Yeah, but
I
it's
did, I
great. It's
just
great
said,
he's calling. It's great he's calling somebody. You're not going to wipe it up. It's great that somebody else comes and wipe it up.
no, it wasn't that, no, it wasn't like that at all. It was, that person wasn't even in the house, they were far away, you know. And it was to say that was behaving meanly to somebody who's so ill, you know. That, I mean, that's the thing, that's the game to play, to just put in a corner because I'm the one who's ill and you're not, therefore. And I've said, do you think, you know, is your life more important than mine just because of
Yeah.
your health situation?
Yes.
But there's no reasoning.
Go
Um,
back. Go
but
back to the second fetter. Go back to the second fetter, and then start to see him from the point of the higher fetters. So you start to see that what he's doing is the passive aggressive bully. He's manipulating you to doing what he wants you to do because he's incapacitated to, you know, do it himself. So he feels lots of different things. He should speak with a therapist. He shouldn't be mean towards you.
yeah, well, exactly, for sure. Yeah,
And that is the work for you is to clear boundaries.
yeah,
We
yeah,
can have all the compassion in the world and we can send lots of love to him and we can be truly understanding towards the difficult situation he's in. This is not what he expected life would end with, you know. We can be super compassionate towards that. But what is not okay is for you to cross your boundaries and for you to be put in situation of abuse.
yeah,
And it's completely okay to say no, I'm not having that.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
If you want me to be up here, you need to behave in a certain way. Otherwise, we're two adults. Let's act like adults.
yeah,
And that's completely fine to say. You are allowed to do that. So just notice how much what is happening when he becomes abusive is playing into your trauma. Where
yeah,
you say, then I reacted. Well, you didn't, did you? You just said no. That's not a
yeah,
reaction.
yeah,
And he didn't accept that no, and then he acted out.
yeah,
So it really become aware of clear boundaries and how difficult that is for you.
Yeah, it is difficult
Yeah.
because of, or the other person's situation is always more dire, you know. But yeah, thank you.
And somebody at the other end of the line that is not there 24/7 can easily be, you know, ever so surplus, you know. They
I
have had
know.
full night's sleep. They haven't been wiping up. They haven't been,
No,
you know,
I know
putting
exactly.
warnings aside. You are 24/7. So for another person to scoot in from the left and going like ta-ta, you know, it's an unfair comparison.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
If that other person came from an equal situation, you know, then the complaining, you know, could have, you know, not merit, but there could be something to talk about. But him calling somebody that has surplus, that's just on top of unfair, even more unfair.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and it's okay to say that's not okay. It's not
Yeah.
fair. I'm not calling somebody complaining about you.
No. Hmm. Thank you.
Yes. Sending you so much love.
Thanks.
So much love.